So, as a continuation in our topic is maintaining an audible tone. Can make sure that every member of the audience can hear what is being said clearly. Maintaining an audible tone is one of the elements of a good presentation. And to a good way to improve audibility is to vary voice volume and to make sure that words are articulated and enunciated as clearly as possible. And also in maintaining optimal pace, okay, as a speaker, we should not speak quickly. Okay, we should give time to our audience, to our listeners to take note, to digest what we are talking in front, to let them ask the questions like if they have something they can understand sa pag-present nato sa ato ang presentation sa atubangan sa atong istorya. So we should give them time to ask questions if they are confused about something or whatsoever. And aside from that, as so nag-ingon ako na we should not speak quickly. We should also avoid to speak very slow kanang hinay kaayo pod nga pagka deliver sa ato ang kanang speech sa atubangan sa pag-present sa ato ang like PPT sa atubangan, for example PPT pag-present sa PPT nato sa atubangan, we should also not speak in a very slow motion. Okay, so because if we took a lot of time during in our if we took a lot of time in our presentation, our audience or our listeners will might get bored or will might get bored like okay, di na ako maminaw, kakapoy kay di mamdugay kay mahuman. So, mga na ang mga listeners, so please avoid taking a lot of time in presenting your presentation in front. And under of maintaining an audible tone are the following: projection and articulation, inflection, silence, and breathing. Let's begin with the projection and articulation. To ensure that you get your points across, you must speak loudly and clearly enough that your listeners hear and understand what you are saying. Even a person in the farthest corner of a room should be able to comprehend your words without straining. We should remember that we are the speaker. So, so the role of the speaker is to deliver her speech, to deliver the presentations in front clearly. The speaker should have a loud voice kay para ang mga tao dito sa likod bisag layo na sila sa speaker nga nasa tubangan is makadungog gihapon sila. It's because of the loud voice that the speaker have during the presentation. And again, we should also remember that we are the speakers. So if we have something that we want to say or we want to tell to our audience that we are not sure, like di ba kung dili ta sure sa atong iingon kay nakalimot ta, just avoid saying it because it can make it can confuse our audience kay wala ikaw pud nga presenter wala ka kabalo kung unsa imong giingon sa ilaha unsa lang pud ka ang naminaw sa imuha, di ba? But if you have a phrase or sentence nga confident ka nga ingon sa ila, then share it loudly so that the people at the back can also hear what you are saying in front. Next is inflection. A common problem for speakers involve inflection, which is the changes in speech at the end of the sentence. Inflection are typically different for questions than they are for statement. Like for example, sa question tanong. So, ako, nanawag sa ako Then, pagtubag na ako, then I will answer the call and after that, I can't hear any voices sa other line sa tawag. So, mo guess ko, like, Kathy, diba? So, from the word itself, like Kathy, sa kato pa lang akong gingongay na nga, like Kathy. So, question mark, like Kathy, question mark. Pina-question nga pagkatawag because wa man ko kabalo kung kinsa to akong katawag dito nang hula raman ko Kathy. But in statement like si Kathy na nang panasayahan na nang panasayang tao mana siya mo lang isa ka tao, what is your name? Of course si Kathy mo answer siya Kathy. O, diba? It's so different from the questions and the statement. Like in the questions, I answered or I asked Kathy. Then si Kathy answered sa nag-ask sa iyaha. Like, Kathy, with question mark, I with tuldok. At akong gingon with question mark. So that's the questions and the statement. Changes in speech. Changes in pitch rather. The next is silence. Silence can be powerful, whether you see it focus the audience before the first word of the speech, or for emphasis after an important phrase. Silence is often an extremely effective tool. So, as a speaker, of course, you can start your speech in front if your audience is still wa sila naminaw, saba gyapon kaayo sila, di ba ka, you can start your speech in front. You can start your presentation in front if they are still struggling about something, like wa pa sila nahimutang sa ilang mga ingkuranan. So of course, magkinom sa jud ka. And then sila makuan man ang imong mga audience ka. Okay, nanaday si presenter, nanaday si ma'am, si sir nga mag-present sa front. So we need to kanang kuana kanang magkilom na tas mag-settle down. So dira agi pakita nimo sa presenter that you are the only one who should speak in front because you were the one who were assigned to present the presentation in front para sa ilaha, diba? So that's it. Next is the breathing. Without breath, there is no voice. Did you believe that? Okay. Without breath, there is no voice. Timid breathing can support only timid speaking. In contrast, deep, relaxed breathing provide a foundation for a strong, flexible speaking styles. And don't be shy to take breath because everybody needs breath. Like if you are going to present or if you are going to speak in front, of course you need to take a breath, to take a deep breath for you to be able to 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 to, to deliver or to kanang magawas pa nimo ay mga gusto pa ipang ingon. Like dapat kabalo ka, you know how to control your breathing during sa imong kanang pag-present sa atubangan. You should control it. Like dili dapat ka maghangak like okay. We can't really avoid. We see or we saw some of the teachers, some of the reporters sa atong mga classmates or sa uban, makita nato men okay, time sa kay murag gihangak nako. That's not the right kuan sa pag-deliver nimo sa imong presentation sa atubangan. You should know how to control your breathing, like inhale, exhale. Okay, hinga, tas pundo dayon diri sa diaphragm, and then anam dayon ka og istorya nga kanang in natural way lang nimo siya nga pagkahinga. Natural po nimo siya na way nga pagkagawa sa imong ginhawa. Ana lang siya para tuloy-tuloy ang imuhang kanang imuhang pag-istorya sa atubangan, and dili maputol ang imuhang gusto iingon kay gihangak na ka kay nagpugong ka sa imong ginhawa sa atubangan. Okay? So that's it. So let's back to the next is enthusiasm and gestures and emphasis. An enthusiastic presenter can create enthusiasm in the listeners and motivate them to pay attention, ask questions, collaborate, and communicate. Gestures and manners that complement verbal communication can be used to grab the audience's attention and maintain interest in the classroom. So as a presenter, we should be enthusiastic. We should not be bored or boring pag mag-report na ta. We should be enthusiastic so that our audience can collaborate and communicate with us. Because kung boring kita nga magtutlo, dili jud na sila maminaw sa ato. So we need to be enthusiastic. And gestures, of course. Using gestures are So natural for us. But we also need to limit ourselves, like magamit og gestures nga luhag na kayo ka, mag-report ka, ganana na ka dito, di na ka masabtan. So avoid that one. Avoid using gestures nga kanang magdala nagkasamok sa isa ka estudyante. It's because imbes na maminaw yung mga estudyante sa imo, dili na sila makapaminaw sa imo, kay nakafocus na sila sa imuhang body language, like luhag kay kadira nga nag-report ka, nasikag lakaw-lakaw, sikag lihok-lihok, dili ka mahimot ha. So as a presenter, as a speaker, you should control your gestures. Like you can use your hands, you can walk in a very slow maghinahinay kag lakaw, gamit kag kamot, ana lang. Dili ka magpalabi o gamit sa imong gestures kay mabaliktad danon imbis kay minaw sa imo ang imong mga listeners or sa audience, dili na sila makafocus sa paminaw sa imo. It's because of your gestures, your body language. So, and using gestures, it can also help you to grab the attentions of your audience because you use gestures, ana kadira naglakaw-lakaw kadira. So it can also help you to get the attentions of your listeners nga naminaw sa imo. The 4 basic language skills of Skolnick and Cole, 1999. First is the reading skills. In the reading skills is the receptive skill in written mode. It can develop independently of listening and speaking skills. Reading can help build vocabulary that helps listening comprehension. So if we encounter the students or the listeners, the beginners of the kanang reading skills, of course, we should give them fast for them to be able to enhance their reading skills. Like we give them a book which is dapat kanang nga book na imong gihatag is musot na sa iyahang capability of reading. Like if you give a book to a grade 1 student, of course you need to find a book that is also suitable for that specific student, right? It's because if you give a book to a grade 1 student nga dili pantay, nga dili align sa iyahang grade level or sa iyahang capability, sa iyang kakayahan, of course dili gyapon na niya mabasa kay wa magyapon siya kasabot. So you need to give a books for the students nga dapat mo fit or mo align sa iyahang grade level, sa iyahang background, sa iyahang asa dapat kutob kung makabasa na ba digid ni siya or dili pa. So that's it. Next is the writing skills. Writing skills is the productive skill in the writing mode. It is more complicated and seems to be the hardest of the skills. Moreover, it involves not just a graphic presentation of speech, but the development of presentations of thought and in structured way. Yes, writing skills is the hardest skills among the 4. Like, again, we already tackled the 4 basic language skills in our one of our subject in first year. I think, yes, first year, second semester, the 4 macro skills. For macro skills, the reading, writing, speaking, listening. And, sa batang isa. Basta kay na-topic na natin siya. And then, yes, the writing skills are the hardest skills among them all. It's because it applies all the skills, diba? You can't write if you don't know how to read. You can't write if you don't know how to listen. You can't write if you don't know how to speak. Diba? So, kinahanglan nimo nga matun-an tanan before gid nimo nga makuha nimo ang imong writing skills. Like, di man kung if you can't read, dili jud ka kasulat, diba? Or makasulat magani ka pero dili gid siya mo sakto. And you can improve your writing skills if you are not good at listening. Like if your teacher asked you to listen to a news and write it in your paper, of course if you can't listen to the news in your TV, of dili jud pud ka sulat kung dili ka maayo pud sa paminaw, sa pagpaminaw sa balita sa TV. And in speaking, of course, ma-apply pa dito ang listening. Like, kung kuan, like, unsa to giingon sa newscaster dito, mag-anam-anam jud kag sulat. So, it is the hardest skills of the 4 basic language skills according to Skolnick and Cole. I am not sure about the pronunciations of this SCHCOLINK. So, correct me if mali jud ako pagka-pronounce because wala po na ako siya na-research po kung unsa giyang right na pronunciation. So, let's proceed to the speaking skills. So, speaking skills is a productive skill. There are 3 kinds of speaking. First is the interactive, the discussion, or the dialogue. The second one is partially interactive, the lecture. Then the third one is the non-interactive, the sermons and the speeches. The last basic skills of language is the listening skills. Listening is a comprehension. Listening comprehension is the receptive skill. Listening means to understand what we hear. And there are 2 types of listening skills. The interactive, we chance to speak, calls, discussion, and face-to-face conversation. Non-interactive, the second one. Non-interactive, we don't have a chance to speak, watching TV, and sermons. Okay, may isa-isa na ko siya kanang discuss. In speaking skills, there are 3 kinds of speaking. The interactive, it includes discussion and the dialogue. So the discussion, of course, what am I doing right now is the discussion. So Manisha, this is part of the speaking skills to enhance my ability to speak in front kung mag-report na po ko sa atubangan pag abot sa panahon. Next is partially interactive, the lecture. So mopud ni siya karon na akong gibuhat the lecture. And the sermons and the speeches. Of course, the public speaking can also help you to improve your public speaking skills. Diba? The speeches, the sermons, like sa mga pari, ilahang speaking skills nag-improve because of that. And the listening skills, there are 2 types of listening. Again, the interactive and the non-interactive. In interactive, we have the chance to speak, like calls, discussion, face-to-face conversation. Okay? Like, kung makig-communicate sa atong classmates, of course, maminaw ta saya, we need to listen to her or him so that we can respond on what he or she is talking about. So we need to listen for us to be able to respond. So, mo na to siya. Nanay conversation, nanay communication ang mahitabo sa inyo hang duha. And the second one is the non-interactive. We don't have the chance to speak. For example, sa TV, sa news, sa sermons. So, if we watch some televisions or movie, of course, we don't have the chance to speak. It's because it's makita na lang nato siya sa TV. Wala na tayo chance mo interact pa sa ilaha. All we need to do is to listen para masabtan kung unsa to ilahang giistoryahan dito sa salida or sa news ni mohang paminaw. So that's the 2 types of listening skills, the interactive and the non-interactive. So I think that will be all. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.